Have you ever wanted to wholesale a subject to deal, but maybe you didn't know the right way to pitch it, or maybe how to tell the seller that you were going to even be wholesaling it in the first place? Well, in this video, I want to cover exactly how I pitch it, as well as really the 3 components that you have to have in order to wholesale a subject to deal. Okay, so number 1, you obviously have to find the deal, right? Everything starts with a good deal. Number 2, you're going to have to find the buyer. Number 3, you have to learn how to have that conversation to connect seller to buyer. Okay, so let's talk about the first point. How do you actually find a deal? Well, I'm going to be making a ton of videos on this, on how to find deals, how to find creative deals specifically, and this is something we talk about in our free community, so I'm not going to go really in depth here, but at the end of the day, you have to find motivation, right? You have to find somebody with a problem that you can solve. So this is probably somebody that either A, can't afford to take a cash offer because they owe too much on their property, or 2, maybe they just want a higher price, right? Or maybe they don't want to go with a realtor, or they can't afford to go with a realtor because after paying all of the commissions and the closing cost and the fees, they're going to have to cut a check at the closing table, which most people nowadays can't afford to do or want to do. That's where you come in, right? So you solve their problem. Hey, I can take over your payments, right? Or maybe for a seller finance deal, I can make you payments. Whatever it is, right? You structure the deal. So in this case, we're talking about subject to. So, hey, Mr. Seller, if I can, give you $5,000 in your pocket, cover the closing cost, maybe cover an agent commission if there is an agent involved, and take over your payments, right? Get the house out of your life. You don't have to deal with it anymore. Do you want to move forward with that? They say yes. Great. That's the first part of this whole process. Number 2 is you need to have the conversation with them that you are not the buyer, right? And if you're the buyer, great, you just move forward. But most of the people watching this video are definitely not going to be buying their first subject to deal. They're probably going to be wholesaling. And what is wholesaling? You get a deal under contract, you sell that contract to another investor that wants to take your place in that agreement, and they pay you an assignment fee or wholesale fee, right? And oftentimes you get paid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for basically just finding the deal and then connecting the end buyer to that deal, okay? So here's how you're gonna have the conversation, because I think there's a lot of people that don't do this ethically, and what they do is they try to say, oh, I have a partner and him and I are gonna go in on the deal, and it's just not true. Like, that person is making the payments, you're not. And the last thing that you want to have happen is, and I've had this happen personally, you wholesale a deal, they don't know that you're not involved anymore, things go south, maybe the buyer stops making payments, and now they think you're on the hook. Lawsuits come out, you just never know what's gonna happen. So if you're gonna be doing this, you have to be fully transparent, okay? So here's how you do it. You tell them, hey, look, this deal is really tight. As a buyer, I don't feel comfortable making this. I don't think I can do this deal. But what I can do, since I know you have a problem and I know you really wanna sell this house, is I can connect you with somebody that would be willing to take over the payments, and they would essentially just pay me a fee for connecting you to. Is that something that you would want help with? Notice how I'm not asking, would it please be okay if I did this and I made some money? No, I'm asking, hey, look, I can't make this work. You're just being fully upfront. I can't make this work, but I do have other buyers, and I think I have a buyer that would be interested in taking this over, taking over the payments, just like you and I talked about, and they would just pay me a small fee for just making the connection. Is that something that you would want to move forward with? 99% of people, if they're motivated, are gonna say yes. I don't think I've ever had somebody be like, well, I don't really want your help, right? Because if they're in that position where they're willing to let you take over their payments, they're probably willing to let you bring in a buyer, right? You're just trying to serve them at that point, and obviously you're making a fee. So that's how you're gonna pitch it. Now, third thing is what? Finding the buyer, right? So when it comes to finding the buyer, the biggest thing that you wanna look for, there's gonna be people in Facebook groups and communities and blah, 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 blah. They're gonna say, hey, I'll buy the house, I'll pay you a fee. But the last thing you wanna do, I'm telling you right now, is sell a subject to deal or assign a deal to a buyer that is not responsible, maybe doesn't have good credit, doesn't have the reserves, and doesn't have an exit strategy that's gonna allow them to actually make money on the property. Because I can tell you this right now, it's the sad truth. If a buyer can no longer make money on the property, a lot of them are not ethical enough to keep making the payments from their funds, right? So they'll walk away, they'll let the house go to foreclosure, they'll just ghost you. Like, that's what you do not want. So I would rather take a smaller fee in exchange for having a responsible buyer that's not going to give me headaches later on. It's not going to bring the seller back involved. I'm not going to be wrapped up in some kind of lawsuit. Like, that's what I don't want, okay? Obviously, you want to have disclosures that you're not involved anymore. You did everything you could. You're not brokering the deal. You're not a realtor, right? You're just getting paid a fee, making an assignment fee. So this is a powerful strategy. I will tell you, Subject to has changed my life. We've done over 100 Subject to deals. A lot of those were assignments when we first started. Now mostly we buy just because there's more money when you buy it. There's also more risk. So that's something you have to be aware of. But if you want to learn more about wholesaling, I hope this video was helpful. We have a free community. It's a school community that I'll have in the description. If you'd like to join, I'd love to see you in there. We have weekly calls where we talk about more in depth how to actually find these deals, how to have the conversation to get to the point where you even get a contract, right? And then lastly, like, we have buyers in our group that are legitimate people that you can trust, that you can now sell these deals to. So if you want to learn more, please join the community. I'd love to see you in there. And if you found this video helpful at all, as far as just how to have that conversation with full transparency, what to do, you know, once you've actually had that conversation, and really what to look for in buyers, like the video, subscribe, comment what you found most helpful, and I hope you have a blessed week.